Hello, I'm Nathan Good, Product Manager at Estimating Edge. I would like to take this time today to introduce you to an Edge on-site feature called Task List. Task List functionality allows users to track completion of tasks that take place on a job site at set intervals at a company, project, or title level. Creation of all task lists must be on the administrative portal. We have created two areas to both create and manage your task lists. One is at a company specific level and the other is at a project specific level. So what I'm going to show you today is how to set up a task list at each level and what those actually look like inside of the iPad, how to mark completion, and how you're going to be able to view those later on. So to access the first one at the company level, I'm going to do that by going down to my Edge on Site button on the administrative portal, and I'm going to see the Edge on Site menu. Now, here's where you'll typically access all of your projects loaded into Edge on Site. And off to the side here, we've added a new button called Task Manager. So to click that, I'm going to move on into that. And here I'm going to get the Task Manager set up. So you can see some of the task lists that I already have created inside for my company. Now, we have three different types already set up, and I'm going to go over each one of these and what the difference is. So the top one here is by project. So this is going to be a task list that I'll only be able to view at a specific project. So in this case, it's the Walgreens project. So if I were to go into that, I would be able to see everything that's listed in those task lists and be able to mark those as complete. Next is the company-wide task list. So what's special about this is it allows you to create a standard operating procedure throughout your entire company, meaning this task list should be viewable on every project that I currently have loaded into Edge on Site. That way, on each project, I'll be able to go ahead and mark all those tasks complete. In this case, I have it set as weekly, probably Monday through Friday, since that's our standard days that we're going to be out on the job site. And then below that, I have PM, Monday, and Friday, and this is a by title task. So the by title task is going to be something for my project managers in this case. So if I have a project manager loaded into this specific project, he's going to be the only one that's able to see this task list and mark those tasks as either complete or incomplete inside of the project. This way you're communicating to the specific individuals on the project that need to have certain tasks done or assigned to them. Now, some of the other functionality that you have from this level is you can then edit each one of those tasks. So if you need to see what's inside of them, I can go ahead and click edit, see when they actually take place, and see the task items that are in there. One of the other functionalities you have is the review functionality. So what's special about the review functionality in this case is that it is going to allow me to mark certain tasks as complete or incomplete if they're due on those certain days. So this is an administrative privilege function. So if somebody were to mismark something inside of the iPad, it's going to be locked or frozen for them in the iPad. They're not going to be able to make any additional changes. So if those need to be corrected or expanded upon later on, then you would go ahead and go into the administrative portal, and then you can check and uncheck whatever's going to be required for that task. It's also going to allow you to do a backdate on that as well. So in the iPad, you're only going to be able to mark it on the day that it's complete. The administrative portal gives you the admin rights to go back in time and make the necessary changes to make sure that your task list stays up to date. So I'm going to go ahead and create one, and I'm actually going to create this one now by project. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my type, and here's the three different types that we can create from the Edge on Site menu task manager. Next, I'm going to choose the project that I want to see this in. So what am I going to see it in the iPad later on? Notice that the title does not light up. That's because this is not a title-based task, so therefore I'm not going to be able to add it by title in here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and hit add. So we do require you to give it a friendly name. So I'm just going to call this new task list. Below that, we have the task scheduler. So we have three different types of task schedules on here. We have the daily. This is going to fire every 7 days. So this is going to be your Sunday through Saturday task list. This will be used if you're going to be out on the job 7 days a week throughout the lifespan of the project. Next is the weekly. So weekly, if I were to click on that, that's going to give me the days of the week that I'm going to want this thing to notify me, or it's going to be due. So this is probably what you're going to use more frequently, especially if you're out on the project a Monday through Friday. You can go ahead and select each one of those on there. But if you're not, you can just go ahead and select the necessary days that you want this task to fire. So if it's an every other day kind of thing, you would just go ahead and mark the every other day on there. Next is the monthly. So your start date is actually going to set the date every month that the task is due. So you're going to use this if you have information that needs to be collected or tasks that need to be completed on, say, the 1st or 15th of every month. Now, in all three of these options, you do have the ability to set the number of occurrences. So you are required to put a start date and end date onto all of the task lists. So end date will typically be when the project's set to end. However, you can always edit that later on if that does change. Below that, you have the number of occurrences. So the number of times that this task list is going to be required, it'll stop after that point if you want to use that functionality. And then below that, we also have the time of day. So the importance of the time of day is if you're working in the iPad at a certain period of time throughout the day, if this time of day is set and it is required to be set, it will then send a notification letting you know that you have a task list that is meant to be complete at that time of day. So if anybody's working in it, they automatically get the trigger. So after that, and we have everything set, I'm going to go ahead and go to my task list. So here is going to be your list format. So this is where you're going to identify all the questions or answers that need to be responded to out in the field. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out and keep it very simple. Take out the trash is one. Next, maybe collect timesheets. All right, so I've got two different tasks in there, creating my task list for my project. Now, if I were to click add again, it's going to add a blank line for me if I don't put anything in there. And that blank line will be moved forward. So if you're done, all you need to do at this point is just go ahead and click save. So once we click save, our task list is added there, and it is by project. So I'm going to go ahead and move into that project-based task manager so we can see what that looks like and what the difference is with those. So I'm going to go ahead and move back into my Edge On-Site. Now here's where I typically go when I'm accessing Edge On-Site into my projects. So here's our Woodchuck Plaza, which I added the task to earlier on. Now I want you to notice over in our action tool buttons, we do have a new button for tasks. So that's where we're going to move into the task list for this project. So there we have our company-wide task. I'll see that on every project that I have loaded into Edge On-Site. And there is the new task that we created by project. It's firing weekly. So if I need to see or edit or even make any changes to that, I can do all of that for this task. Now, the most important part is notice our add up here. So we cannot add company-wide or title-based tasks to this list from here. These are project specific. So if I click add, I'm just going to add a task to the project similar to the one that I set up on the other screen. So that's the difference between the two areas that we have set up. Most of the time, you're probably going to set up the company-wide or role-based tasks when you first get into Edge On-Site, and they'll probably stay the same. You might update them every once in a while. But for the most part, you'll be adding your additional tasks at the project level from this screen here. So let's move into Edge On-Site and see what these actually look like inside of Edge On-Site. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my iPad. Now, if I hit my side menu over here, we have a new area for tasks that I can see off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and there's our new task. Now, some of the information that I can see on here is I see the days of the week that this task is required. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday is what we set for our new task list. So I'm going to go ahead and click on our new task. Pops this dialog box up. Now, we have added some additional special functionality for the iPad, and that's because things tend to take place in the field that may not have been accounted for when these were set up. Now, if that happens, we call that an ad hoc task. So we do have an add button here. So if I click that, it's going to bring me in here. Now the importance of this is it's going to add us to the task list just for the day. Now if you need to add it to the task list permanently for the lifespan of the project, you need to do that from the administrative portal through the edit button. But if you want to track just something very specific for that day, something that came up that you want to make sure it's noted, you're going to go ahead and hit that add task. So I'm going to go ahead and add something in here. MEP interruption. And it would be help if I could spell, but I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. And there it is. It went ahead and added the MEP interruption to me, and I can go ahead and mark that as complete, just so I have some communication what happened on this day. If I need to, I can also add a note to this. Had to stop in area 1. And then I don't need to click save or anything. It's going to store that value for me in there. And there we have it set. So if our other tasks are completed, it's very simple. All you have to do is click checkbox and it's done. Now I'm going to go back out of that and I'm going to go ahead and go right back in so you can see what it does. So it did lock that down for me. So I can no longer change the values on each one of these, but it does allow me to continue to add a comment. So if I have more that I need to communicate that happened that day for these specific tasks, I can go ahead and do that. All right. So that's what it looks like inside of the iPad. Again, very simple and easy to use, like we've tried to keep for Edge On-Site. And if I want to go back to my administrative portal, see the response to this, I'm just going to go ahead and refresh my screen so that everything is fresh. I'm going to go ahead and hit review. There are all of my tasks. They are marked as completed. My MEP interruption is inside of there. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. And now where do I get access to my tasks each day? So I'm going to go ahead and go back into my iPad here so that you can see that. Now we do have a daily report. So this is something new that just came out with the same release of Task List. So this daily report is going to give me a roll-up of everything that happened that day. And more importantly, it's also going to show me my tasks. All right, so here are my task names. You can see those down at the bottom. The response is true, means they are completed. Then I have my comment listed in here, had to stop in area 1, and who it's created by. So I can run this report every day and see what the task lists have been completed. Now the important things about this is you're going to want to go ahead and run this and store this. If you want to keep a roll-up of what that job looks like on any given day, you'll be able to access that. Save it as a PDF, so then you have a full completed list of everything that's gone on through the project as far as tasks completed, any production that you've added, notes and images, so on and so forth. That's all the kind of functionality that we have built inside of Edge On-Site. So that is all I have to show you today in regards to task lists. Again, we try to keep everything very simple, but to give you more accessibility, more communication in the field. So this concludes our introduction to the Edge On-Site feature of task lists. If you have any additional questions or would like a formal demo, please feel free to reach out to us at estimatingedge.com and select a schedule a demo button, and one of our salespeople will be able to get a hold of you. Thank you for your time and take care.